Okay. Marty should be able to hear me now.
Hi.
Okay. Hello, everybody. What do we think about how it looks? How does the audio sound? We've been, I say we, me, all of me. Marty's been doing nothing. She's just been looking pretty. All of this.
You just cut out.
Okay, yeah, I know. It's still a work in progress, but it should be better. So it should look better, and it should sound better. Hold on, do we put you in the middle there? Why are you the tiny one? You're supposed to be in the big screen as well.
Me?
Yeah.
What big screen? What are you talking about?
If you look at the light. Audio was good. Spooky, I don't know what Fabio was talking about earlier with the echo. I literally changed nothing. I switched the thing off and then switched it back on again. And, yeah.
Hi, Spooky.
Andy is here as well. So yeah, it was over in Captive Dave's. I want to thank everyone who was coming by and doing all that, and not my normal thing, I understand. You know, I usually don't do the reaction videos. I usually like to do the chatty. Who's bashing women? That guy, there was a guy that was the preacher. Yeah, also spent about 7 hours last night working, what is it, Nerdy called it, vibe coding. So I've got a wee thing running now where it's separate hangouts, and should actually look a little better with different setups and different sizes. And I don't know where the echo came from, man. I'm not sure. I really don't know. Literally all I did and then turned my mic back on again as quick as I just did there now. Turned it off, turned it on, and that seemed to resolve the issue. Dog, hello? Are you coming in, dog? You coming in to say hello? Ligma, yes, of course you may join. The StreamYard link is pinned, I do believe. Yeah, hit away, come in. I've got a kill button on the video, so it's as easy as me to switch all the video as it is to do that. So coming in with like anything raunchy or against YouTube won't work. So if you're doing it to do that, oh, Lisa's here. Will that auto change?
Truth, girl, I haven't seen you in a minute.
It's annoying. It's cutting Lisa off.
Hey.
Where have you been?
Excuse me?
Where have you been?
Around. Actually, what happened to Gurr?
What happened to Gurr?
Lisa, I do apologize. This new thing that I'm running is cutting you off. We see your name, but it's just the private chat's over the top, so unfortunately I'm not seeing your icon, but we can hear you. I do apologize for the live stream not showing. I will soon fix that.
That's fine. Yeah, what happened with Gurr streams? I haven't seen him around lately.
I haven't seen Gurr in a minute. I haven't seen Gurr in a hot minute. I have no idea what happened to Gurr.
But yeah, I've been around. I've been doing reaction videos. I've been having a lot of headaches lately, so the reaction videos are short. Well, not so short, but they're simple in that I don't have to really think about, you know, what I'm gonna do, except just do them, you know. I do them cold. I don't watch them ahead of time, you know, so you get my raw reaction.
Are you going to the doctor for your headaches?
I get migraine. Yeah.
Really?
Huh?
Like regular migraines? You get them on the regular?
Yeah, I have chronic migraine, so
Ooh.
it depends on the day.
What are you taking?
I take Max Salt when I get one, but I try not to because it's what I call my big gun. So I usually try stuff like Aleve and Tylenol and taking naps and rehydrating and eating something because sometimes I get a headache if I'm hungry. So,
I do apologize. I'm going to just fix this for 1 wee second. So I do apologize. You will be kicked and then brought instantly back. Very sorry.
Sure.
You're fired.
Okay, is that better?
Oh no, yeah, it's fine now. It's my end. I'm running like a wee thing where I'm trying to like do something and it's just not working at the minute. It was cutting you off, so I've now fixed it. So I just had to kick you and bring you back. That's it.
That's okay. No big deal.
It's better visually showing your icon rather than some chunk of text going Lisa Fa and a chunk of text. You know?
Yeah. But yeah,
I get migraines as well. I used to take cocodamol for them, and then I had to take codeine, and then that stopped working. But like ibuprofen or ibuprofen or whatever you want to call it, seems to be working now. If I take 400 milligrams of that and then sleep, that seems to be my key. Also, shout out to Ligma FPV. Excuse me, you're more than welcome to join. You can come in. I'm open to having chats. I've been on captive desks tonight and good hanging out with people. Got to talk to Simos. Got to talk. It's hard for me to sit still and not talk. So when we're doing a reaction video, so yeah, come in. We'll do the talkie. Marty's gonna leave anyway because she's got a hot video OnlyFans thing happening later. Like.
We're not going to talk till around 9 if she can stay awake. If she can stay awake, then we'll chat around 9. So I gave her a link to the stream, so she might come in and just listen.
But I stopped going to girth streams because my dad died, and I just couldn't handle like being around anybody at that point.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, it's been a while. And then he stopped doing his hangouts, and I haven't seen anybody else doing hangouts. So when I saw that Math was doing this hangout, I'm like, cool, I'll go for that.
Yeah, come over. As I say, I've just stopped streaming like a snipey Jewell stream I was doing with Captive, but appreciate you coming by, really do. Also, on that topic, Andy, how do you pronounce your name, Andy?
Howdling.
Andy Howdling, or Ligma FPV. You've been on before, I do believe, yes?
Yeah, I met you yesterday in A's Philosophies chat.
Oh, that's right. That's where I know you from. Yeah, a lot of respect for A. Don't agree with his anti-evolution thing, but if you're in agreement with that, want to talk about it or whatever you want to talk about, man. It's Saturday night for me. This is what I like to do: is have these conversations. So, have you got a topic in mind, or do you want to question me or anything, or?
No, not really. Not really to either of those things. I guess I don't really know. I don't want to argue about anything, but I do like to learn.
Yeah, you see, it's hard because I use the word argument, and if I said to my mum, or I said to people at work, it's like, what were you doing last night? Oh, I was arguing with people online. I don't mean it as in the derogatory term, as in fighting with people. It's like, having a discussion.
Arguing?
Pardon?
Yeah, like a debate.
Philosophical arguing?
Yeah, in that sort of term. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, A's philosophy is kind of an anomaly in that sense because me and him can have disagreements for, several hours on end without ever raising our voices or getting upset with each other.
That was the first time that I met A's Philosophy. Is me and him were on. I can't remember. It might have been Wild Hearts. It might have been Brojo's. I can't remember where we were, but we were trying to have a conversation and people can't interrupt us. So he just started a live and I went over, and it was just very cordial, very calm. Yep. Seems to be a person who's open to conversation. Maybe not open to change, but open to conversation.
Yeah, Wild Heart's another one I haven't seen in a very long time.
Wild Heart's not doing great.
Not missing anything. Moving on. I was just making a reference point. Hi, Ian. Ian, I have to do a little spin for Ian. I've been going, but
he's quite well dressed.
Yeah, he likes vests and stuff. He likes to dress up and stuff.
Are you Scottish, Andy? I hear a bit of an accent.
No, USA. Michigan. You at Flint, Michigan?
Oh.
Michigan. Damn, bro.
Is that on the UP?
No, Lower Peninsula. Right about an hour north of Detroit.
Gotcha. So, Matt, are you Scottish?
I'm an Ulster Scot, but Northern Irish would be my preferred term of.
Okay, because I hear an accent. I thought it was Scottish, but I get.
It's referred to as Ulster Scots. My ancestors came from Scotland.
Cool.
That's the whole Northern Ireland, and we blew people up and do your knees in up until 1996, 1998 type thing,
Oh, so you live in Northern Ireland and not the UK part?
Yeah, Northern Ireland is the UK part.
Oh.
There's the island of Ireland, then there's the Republic of Ireland, then there's the north of Ireland, which is just 6 counties. The north of Ireland is part of the UK, but after Brexit, because of the Good Friday Agreement, we still have sort of rules along with the EU. So we've got, I don't want to use the phrase special status, but we're both part of the European Union and not part of the European Union.
Oh, okay, I gotcha.
Plus, people blow each other up over here every now and again and do knees in and.
What do people in Ireland? Is there any attention given to the Druids nowadays?
Now, to be fair, we have what's known, if you look up online, Andy, Armagh and then Navan's Fort, Navan. It is an old Celtic site, and people do go there to celebrate paganism around the solstice and stuff like that, and they hold events there. Oh, hi, gangster. GG's here.
Hi, gangster. Yeah, from a neutral perspective, that's just a cool thing to me. Just deep, a deep dive into ancient history like that. I love that.
Yeah, oh man, we used to actually go to Navan's Fort, but we didn't go to Navan's Fort. We went to the car park round the back because there was an old abandoned copper quarry. Now, it's been picked up and found out now, but when we were young, not a lot of people knew about it, and we used to go there when we were 17, 18, you get your license. And you'd break down this wee area of a fence and go into the old abandoned quarry, and it was filled with water, man. And all of us on a summer's day with turquoise green water and a 30-foot jump, a 10-foot jump, and a big 60-foot jump. And you just used to jump into the water and lie and but you can't go there now because everybody fucking knows about it. There's shit now,
If I ever get over to the UK, which is looking less and less likely, but if I ever get over there, there's a few places I want to visit. I want to visit the burial mounds. Do you have any in Ireland?
There's a burial mound not too far from me that was recently found within this last year, and it used to be a farmer's field, and now it's sort of protected with a wee sign outside it and all, and it's just a lump in the middle of a field.
Oh, nice. And then I, of course, want to go see Stonehenge.
Yeah, I want to go to Stonehenge.
Yeah, big rocks.
And I think it was 2012, they found Woodhenge not too far from Stonehenge.
Well, there's wooden posts apparently faded away from Stonehenge. It's out bigger if you do your... what do you call it? Andy, if I can ask Andy, because he's new, and I like talking to new people. Not that I'm bored with anybody here. I love you all. Andy, are you meeting me on A's channel? Are you there to question A, as you said, you just disagree on certain things, or would you align yourself with... How would you describe yourself?
I grew up as a... Okay, well, now I would... I guess I would fall into the category of like an agnostic atheist. But I grew up in a Christian household. You know, my family was really involved in the church. My grandfather was a pastor there, and I was in the choir, and I was in the band, and I was an altar boy, and, you know, leader of Vacation Bible School. And I was a Christian for 26 years, actually. And I haven't actually read the Bible.
Do you mind me asking what age you are now?
What age I am now? 30. I'll be 35 in July.
Oh, you're a baby. You're a baby.
Yeah. But yeah, eventually I realized as I got older that I started to forget a lot of the stories in the Bible, or I would come across stories and be like, I don't even remember reading that. So I'd taken it upon myself to reread the Bible recently with a more adult perspective on it. Mm-hmm. And A's philosophy is somebody I come to just to bounce questions off of when I'm reading the Bible, to get his interpretation.
I love that approach. You know, I really do. Someone, you know, as I described, agnostic atheist, and then making the effort to go and talk. I respect that.
Yeah, and I keep an open mind about a God existing still too. Like when I say atheist, I just mean that I'm not convinced that there's a God. I'm not saying there's no God.
Yeah, I don't know if you heard my description the other night. I would call myself, if you're using labels, a true agnostic. Hasn't been convinced by anything yet. Truly don't know, but I do live my life without the idea of a God, you know, no consequences and stuff like that. I've just not been convinced yet.
Yeah, same. Yeah. Like it's the fact that the universe exists at all warrants the plausibility of a God, I believe. You know what I mean? It's crazy enough that existence exists. Like the fact that the universe is even here is just wild enough. So I feel like a creator creating it couldn't be that crazy. But there's some issues with those ideas too, and for me.
No.
Yeah.
Go on ahead, Lisa.
Sorry about that.
No,
my thing about the I'm agnostic atheist as well. Mm-hmm. But my thing about needing a God to create the universe is you get into this infinite regression, which is where I have problems.
Yeah. I personally just got into a long discussion about infinite regression last night with A's philosophy, and I see no issues with it. I don't think that there is an issue with there being no beginning.
Well, you know, if the Christians in particular want to say, well, God doesn't need a creator, that's special pleading, first of all. Second of all, if God doesn't need one, what's to say the universe needs one, you know?
Yeah, that's a very good point. And the same, you know, using the two examples analogous with each other can be used in a different way to one of their points. And it's, you know, the idea that the Christians typically tend, at least when I talk to them, they tend to reject the idea of the universe being eternal because of this infinite regression thing. But it's like at the same time, they think that God's eternal, or that God predates time, or so sort it's like that's shifting. Also special pleading.
Yeah,
exactly. It's a double standard.
Right.
Evening,
and
dog.
We don't...
Hello. Hi, everyone.
Praise dog.
Hey, dog. What's up?
Was actually thinking about you the day in the cinema, dog. We were going past a wee area. There was a big chunk that's designated for people, you know, in wheelchairs, and my wee girl was like, "What's this fucking thing for?" Well, what's this for, Daddy? And I was like, "That's for people who bring their own chairs, honey." And she was like, "Oh,
yeah."
I treated her today. We went to the IMAX theater to watch Minecraft. she got very excited.
I've heard bad things about it.
It wasn't great from an adult point of view, you know, but she freaking loved it.
Yeah, it's a kids movie.
Yeah, it's a kids movie.
You know, a kids movie that I like. I recently found it. Coraline.
Coraline is fantastic.
I love that movie.
I saw that in the movies. It's absolutely fantastic.
And it's stop animation too.
Yeah,
So,
it's
I mean, they really they spent a lot of time on that.
Yeah, it's a beautiful movie. Like, it's beautifully animated. Yeah, Coraline is really, really good.
Yeah, I heard they were originally gonna do it live action, but then they got the idea of stop animation.
What's it about? Is it like a Disney film?
What, Coraline? Coraline's a Leica film. They haven't done much. They've done Box Trolls and Paranorman and Kubo.
Ooh.
And Coraline.
Even in kids' films, there is some adult comedy that only adults would get.
Yeah, there was a sex reference on 2 different occasions without saying it, you know, like, oh, that sort of thing. But it was that obvious and unnecessary. I think that I felt that they were doing it to include the adults rather than it being relevant. You know, like, I absolutely love, is it the Melvins, Aliens versus the Melvins or something? It's a fantastic movie. And it's an animation and it's a kids movie. And I've watched it without my wee girl because it's great. Like, no, it's not the aliens. It's AI or something. Oh, it's really good animation. Marty, you'd like it too. Like, there's a really weird, quirky sort of girl in it, and they sort of imply that she's bisexual and stuff and all as well. And like, her daddy wants to be her friend. You know the movie I'm talking about?
No, what you're talking about. I just can't think of what it's called.
You know what would be a really neat movie idea? I don't know whether anybody's done this or not. Probably. If anybody knows, just tell me. But AI gone rogue. That would be a good movie idea.
Literally one of the movie ideas I'm talking about.
Really?
Like, gone rogue in what way?
Like taking over their creators, us.
What, like the Terminator?
Or the million other movies. You're being sarcastic. You have to be being sarcastic.
Yeah.
The T-1000.
But, I mean, seriously, that's what a lot of people are afraid of, that AI is going to rise up one day and enslave us.
That's why you always tell Google, thank you. Whenever you ask Google a question, the answers, you say, thank you, Google, and she'll say, you're welcome. Always tell Google, thank you. So that when the robots do rise up, they'll spare you because you were nice to them.
Oh my
In my
God.
opinion, I think that, actually I don't think, but I kind of have a hunch that instead of AI enslaving humans, that we will just become cyborgs instead and slowly integrate technology into our biological makeup.
Like that chip, the mark of the beast, that's supposed to be the mark of the beast.
Yeah, that's like the first step. I look at that as, although I don't trust Elon as far as somebody could throw him, but I like the idea that he has with Neuralink. That's a step in the right direction for sure.
I found the movie that I'm talking about, and I'm going to take a I don't give a fuck copyright strike and do this. So you're like, it's really good. This is why it's fun, right? A mother has been separated from her child, and the AI has taken her child. This is what happens. She reminds me of my mother.
It's useless to resist us.
My sweet.
She seem agitated.
Snaps.
Do not defy our protocol.
You know, pausing it so I don't get the copyright and all. But yeah, it's funny from an adult point of view.
Linda Mitchell, mother of two.
The wee dad's like, what the fuck is going on, you know? That's just one of the many funny scenes. They also have a really strange looking dog. And there was one in the USPCA the other day that I was going to get purely because it looked very similar to this dog.
Is that a dog or dog, pig, dog, pig, dog, pig, dog, pig, dog, loaf of bread, system error.
Dog shit.
You know, it's funny. It's a funny movie.
Loaf of bread.
Yeah, and there was a dog, like a cockapoodle in the USPCA the other day, and its eyes were a wee bit weird, and his tongue constantly hung out in every picture. His name was Toby, and the description was it was very enthusiastic to learn. It's probably the spaniel in it, like, but, you know. Yeah, someone got him there before. Anyway, I don't need a fucking pet. I've got like 6 snakes back.
I was going to ask you if you were thinking about getting another dog.
I know, it's just so quiet when I come home. You know, like, the snakes are great and they're fun and all the rest of it. I'm very interested in the genetics of them. And you can, like, but the snake is calming for me, you know? When I take it out, you have to treat it with respect. You have to be slow. You have to, you know, you can't jump around all like this. And it's more of a thing that I would take out to chill me out and to use to chill my wee girl out or whatever. But I have a lot of energy, you know?
What snakes do you have?
Got a
I
bunch of
have
them.
ball pythons. I'm on the lookout for a bull snake, and I'm going to name the bull snake Jill after Jesus is Lord, because they're sassy as fuck and they'll snap at you, but all they're looking for is a hug.
I used to live in the Florida Keys, and me and a couple of my I don't know if you knew this about the Florida Keys, but there have been several hurricanes that tore apart the Florida Keys, and ball pythons like run rampant in the Florida Keys because
It's
like
not
pet
even the
shops
ball
have gotten
pythons,
destroyed.
man. It's the big ass fucking pythons. That's what actually happened.
Yeah.
There was a tornado come through and destroyed a rescue that held like 140 of them, and they all got out there like an invasive species. You get paid now if you go out and catch them. Them fuckers are 12 foot long. Like,
Are you
Yeah,
talking about
that's
the
what I was gonna
Burmese
say.
in the Everglades?
yeah, the Burmese
Well,
pythons.
they're in the Everglades. They're in the Everglades too, but they're also in the Florida Keys and all over
Yeah.
the mainland Florida too. And me and my friends caught an 8-foot ball python in the Florida Keys
Well,
barehanded.
it's a Burmese, yeah.
A Burmese?
Yeah, they're known as Burmese pythons.
Oh, okay. They said it was a ball python. The Florida
No,
Wildlife
ball
Commission.
pythons in a male will only get to about 6 foot maximum. A woman, maybe 7 or 8 if they're well fed and all. But the ones that are free and running around Florida, they're Burmese. As I say, there was a rescue centre for them. You used to be allowed to have them as pets. They grow massive.
Mhm.
But a tornado or a hurricane or whatever it is came through and destroyed a rescue centre for them. And like 140 or 150 got out in like the 90s. And then they're breeding like crazy, and that's why they're so popular.
It's
They're
actually happened several times. It's actually happened like dozens of times that pet shops with exotic animals have gotten wiped out by hurricanes, and then they've like completely invaded the population.
yeah.
Yeah, now Florida actually sponsors python hunts.
Yeah. Well, there's a channel I follow on a guy that captures them, and some of them are fucking massive because these are wild in an optimum, you know, territory to maximize their growth. Like,
And I think Florida has like every month. I'm not sure on the every month thing, but they have quite a few places and quite a few times where if you have exotic pets that you don't want anymore, instead of releasing them, you can go and relinquish them to the authorities, no questions asked.
Yeah, I followed the Northern Ireland Reptile Rescue. There's only one in all of Northern Ireland, and I follow them. They get lots of different reptiles in, but I'm hoping that they get a ball python or a bull snake in. And I'm going to apply to get it off them. They've had a couple. They had a type of carpet python. It was a regional carpet python a couple of weeks ago, which was really, really nice. You know, beautiful snake. I didn't have the space at the time. I've got one spur enclosure at the minute, but I'm really tempted to just take this chunk here beside me, between the fireplace and the wall, and build 8 there, or else, 6 and one big long one. Like, the ball pythons are cool, and as I say, the genetics of it are very interesting, and I'm hoping I've got like 2 or 3 routes to breed a completely white snake, and sort of interested in that. But they're not very active unless you take them out. I have a couple of them that like to get out, but hence back to the dog again. I had a motherfucking dog for 21 years. The same dog for 21 years, Andy. They recently put him down in February. He'd got too old.
Oh, man. That's rough, dude. I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, I'm 41, and I've had him for 21 years, actually. It would have been this month that I had him for 21 years. But,
I had to put Callie down around a year ago. She was 17, so she lived a long time, but I told the vet, I said, if she just needs care, I can care for her. And the vet said, no, she's suffering. So I'm like, I can't let her suffer.
Yeah, that's what I said. I put my female cat down last August. It would have
mine
been
had a stroke. My motherfucking dog had a stroke and bounced back from a stroke. Like, we give him some tablets and stuff like that, and the mum was like, oh, you're going to have to give him these quite regular and stuff. She said he was very lucky that a switch had changed in his brain after he got the medicine, and he was grand then for a while, but then a thing started to happen at his butt and he was bleeding. It just wasn't comfortable. It was like she tried to blame it on the fact that I didn't get him neutered. Like, oh, this happens with old dogs because he has his testes. He had sex once. He had a bag of weed once, and he used to steal my wine. He said sex, drugs, and rock and roll. He had a good life. He lived for 21 years. Not going to take his balls away.
I'm a big proponent for rescue. I work in rescue. I'm a big proponent for spay and neuter.
Yes, I understand that, but that's like, I'm a big proponent for more education of owners. Okay? He never had a litter or anything like that. He didn't pass his genetics on it, which I'm sad about. But control your fucking dog. You don't need to get your dog neutered. Control your fucking dog.
It's not just about controlling your dog. It's also like it's also good for their health. I work with dogs, so
yes, if you take my testes away, I also will have less of a chance of having testicular cancer. You are correct. It is better for my health, if I want to avoid testicular cancer, to remove my testes. That's silly. Like, I can...
Yeah.
I understand with cats. If I had a cat, I would get a cat neutered, because I do believe that cats are an outside animal, and if I had a cat, I'd fuck it out the back door at night and leave a window open for it to come back,
Oh,
so
dude, you should see my cat. My cat hates the outside.
Yeah.
Absolutely hates it. He's
Really?
weird like that. If I take him outside, he'll just lay there in the ground. He won't even, I'll stand him up, and he'll literally fall over onto his side and meow at me, like in anger.
Yeah, you don't leave your cats outside and get hit by a dog or a coyote or hit by a car or shot with BBs or something like that.
I had to swing the car the other day not to hit a wee ginger cat, probably a kitten. Not a kitten, it wasn't small, but it wasn't a fully grown. She ran out in front of the car. That's just learning, She did the whole dart thing. Missed me, then missed the car at the next side. She was fine. Badgers are the big problem over here. Lots of dead badgers all over the road.
Oh, fuck those guys.
Lots of badgers there.
Yeah, like, I passed 3 in the 15 minutes it takes me to go to work the other day. I passed 3 dead badgers on the road. I don't know what something to do with the weather must have drove them out, or...
I've never even seen one in real life.
I've never seen a live one. But yeah, we get foxes over here running around and cats, and it's sort of a thing with dogs too. Like, you know, a lot of farmers around where I live and stuff like that. So the dogs just sort of roam around the ground. They know when not to go out in front of a car, you know. And my dog that I used to have, he escaped 4 or 5 times, and like, you just sort of know where he's gonna go. You have this idea, you know, he's gonna turn up. He's gonna turn up. When my wee girl was born, I spent 2 weeks at her mum's, and I literally just left the back door open. And my biological father that lived around the corner, he came around twice a day. He fed them and watered them and made sure if there was any mess to be cleaned up. But I left the back door open for them, and I found out after a while that them motherfuckers had went under the fence at the back of the garden and were having a field day in the river during the summer days when it was lovely and warm, and then coming back here again to make sure that they were home in time for my dad to feed them. One of the neighbours was like, oh no, they were out all the time. They were in the fucking river. All right. But they had the intelligence to come back when my dad arrived to feed them. Like.
Yep.
There's supposed to be coyotes running around all over the place here, but
We have
I never
coyotes
see
down
them.
here in Georgia.
Hmm?
We have coyotes down here too in Georgia, where I'm at.
Oh, I live in Oregon.
Oh,
They're
okay.
supposed to be all over the place, but I've never seen one.
What's
They're
your
actually quite
thoughts
elusive.
on the dire wolf? What's your thoughts on this apparent proxy dire wolf being brought back by Colossal Bioscience?
Absolute bullshit. Absolute bullshit.
It's not a
Now,
dire
describe your bullshit. The marketing, I would say, is complete bullshit.
Yeah, I think that there's a huge difference between taking a couple dire wolf genes and inserting them into a very distant ancestor of a dire wolf and actually having a dire wolf.
Thing, dude, it's not even a fucking descendant. They diverge. They're not a canine. We call them wolves. They're not a wolf. They're an actual different fucking clade altogether, right? I was looking into it today, doing a wee bit more because I wanted to hold a live stream and have this conversation, you know, but it was over in captives, and they did get a full genome over the course of a tooth and a skull, 17,000 years and 13,000 years, I think it was, and they say that it's 98.5% the exact same, 99.5, whatever the fuck their fraction is, right? But considering how big the genome is, oh no, it's true, it is true, but considering how big the genome is, when you actually look at the number of genes that are different, you know, that 0.5% actually correlates to 12 million differences in genomes. And when you look at it that way, what they actually changed was 20 in total out of the 12 million, 5 of them being used from modern dogs and 15 being used from the actual genome of what they refer to as a dire wolf. So out of 12 million, they only changed 20, and only 15 of them were actual DNA chunks from the you know, it's a numbers game. It is 98.5% fucking this, but that's still 12 million differences.
Should we really be fucking around with trying to bring back ancient animals like that?
Because it's good practice for the technology.
Well,
agree? Would you agree that if you got cancer or a family member of yours got cancer, that you would recommend that they got chemotherapy and try to live longer? Yes or no?
Yes.
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 Cancer.
Right.
I mean, if they want to.
Did you know that chemotherapy, the original chemotherapy, I don't know if it's been changed now, and probably has, but the original chemotherapy was based on the same technology that they used as mustard gas in the Second World War.
Yeah, it's poison.
Yeah.
So without that poison, that mustard gas that killed so many people, we wouldn't be at the stage where we're at with chemotherapy. Obviously, I'm not saying we wouldn't have got there, but that's the route that we did take. So having these technologies, you know, to do that now, it'd be nice to be able to go in and knowing that your kid's going to have brittle bones genetically, remove that. You know, you don't want to make their hair purple or their eyes this color, and we're not going to go down the route of Gattaca. Have you seen Gattaca, Andy?
No, not the whole thing.
Gattaca is a movie from the 90s, and it goes into what's actually happening now. It's an exaggeration of this, but it goes down to gene editing and into human nature, and you know how people then become subjugated because they weren't gene edited, and some people were, and it really, like, sci-fi cult classic, beautiful. Gattaca. It's GA. It's actually the fucking GATCA, you know, that we use in our DNA. But yeah.
I'm not saying we shouldn't try bringing animals back. Like, I think it'd be awesome if we could bring the Tasmanian tiger back. But do we really want to bring ancient animals back?
Well, I can understand once a certain point disappears. So if we lose the species and we bring it back within 100 or 200 years, that niche hasn't been filled yet. The niche from the dire wolf and even that ecosystem is gone now. No, so there's no benefit to the, like bringing wolves back to Yellowstone. That's a benefit. You know, in total, they've changed the water patterns. It's brought beavers back. This is a good thing because they've recently been lost. But something like a woolly mammoth, you know, that's a zoo. What are you going to do with that?
Or will they even be able to survive?
You see, this
maybe
is
maybe
another
not
thing.
at first.
Well, if you go into the
another thing you have to look at.
Now, when you're talking about thriving, are you talking about genetic diversity?
I personally think that the scientific wonder and the potential discoveries outweigh the ethical concerns.
Well, one of the things that they have actually developed, right, in Colossal is the ability to put genetic diversity into it. Using the genetic diversity of the grey wolf, they have implemented that into these things they're calling dire wolves. So, like, for talk's sake, an example that was put to me today, well, not put to me, but on something I was reading, was cheetahs. Cheetahs in the wild suffer from a lack of genetic diversity. And if you could take, you know, something that was very, very close to it, that's alive now, and put it into cheetahs that are alive now, just only to increase their genetic diversity so that they don't have problems, I see a benefit in that. You're stopping a species going extinct. There's a benefit there with that technology.
Right, there is a benefit there. I'm not talking about that kind of fucking around. I'm talking about, like, bringing back something from 12,000 years ago.
Yeah, as Kat's pointing out, there's a reason dire wolves went extinct. You know, we can see that they weren't as smart as what we would refer to as canines and make that inference, because if you go look at an area like the tar pits, you find very little canines in the tar pits relative to the amount of fucking dire wolves that you find in them. Motherfuckers weren't smart. It's like, drowned all the time. The fact that there's more of them than there is canines of the same time period, you can infer they weren't as smart, you know. So there is evolutionary nature reason, you know, why they went extinct.
Hey, Robbie.
Angelo
is here.
What?
Oh, Angelo is here.
I can't see.
He's in the private.
I know, but I've got my wee silly menu and it's cutting them off. I can see dog. I can't see Antangelo. I will refresh and be back. Let me see if I can switch my wee script thing off. Well, I've already switched off, but it's running. Right, I'll be back.
Shades, I gotta put this back on the rest.
There we go.
What's up,
There he is.
I haven't seen Antangelo in a minute.
Angelo, my friend, how are you?
Hey, Angelo, what's up? Long time no see, buddy.
Yeah, a long time, Lisa. What's up? How are you?
I'm doing okay. How are you?
Fine, thanks.
So what
Have you been
got
up to
for us
anything?
today?
I was just listening, MathPig, talking about the lack of um, genetic diversity, and this is something indeed which I
Well,
have
I,
studied.
I didn't say lack of diversity. I just said that there was a, I don't know. Could you describe what you thought I said? With the words like, what do you mean by lack of diversity in genetics? I don't think I said that.
Well, this is actually a problem because if you do not have diversity, then you have extinction. We see that in
But the
very, very
cheetahs.
small populations,
Sorry,
which lack that.
No, I'm 100% online with you now. Ontangelo, you come in and, you're a crazy fucking turn guy, and I thought a different thing. You're talking about the cheetahs. Yeah, I'm back on track now. Sorry.
Well, if I misunderstood what you wanted to say, then sorry. But I mean, this just rang my bell because this is actually a big problem when we are talking, for example, about the universal common ancestor, which is hypothesized to have been the starting point for life, right? And there is precisely this problem that if you do not have genetic diversity from the beginning, then a population cannot survive. And we know that because, for example, in bacteria, there is horizontal gene transfer, where bacteria, they have mechanisms inbuilt where they are able to exchange genes, and
I
this
do believe it's called genetic drift. Is that not genetic drift? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, they just
no,
shoot it at each other.
Well, no, the genetic drift is one of the possible evolutionary mechanisms, but what I'm talking about is that in special bacteria, they have a mechanism which permits them to share genes amongst each other. And that permits to have genetic diversity and then robustness in the population. And this is very important.
I do believe that if we were, I think the numbers have been crunched, so to speak, but you could go as low as 5 to 10,000 humans. Now, obviously, I'm talking if you were planning this out. If you'd 5 or 10,000 people in one particular area, that's obviously a little genetic bottleneck. It has happened before. I do believe with India, there was a mass flooding maybe 20,000 years ago. In India, a lot of their population got brought down and they had to come back from a genetic bottleneck. But if you could pick and choose the best, I mean, not the best, I started to do a freaking Hitler thing. If you could pick and choose people who are the best to match, as in to create genetic diversity, not to create any fucking, blonde-eyed and blue-eyed sort of guy. But you and me are obviously genetically very dissimilar, Ontangelo, because you're from one side of the world and I'm the other. That's what I'm going for. And I think the numbers have been crunched upon that, and that's 5 to 10,000 people. So it's considering how big a population that there is in the world. If you got the right genetic diversity, you could limit that down to 5-10,000 and restart again. Hello to John, the messenger reveals.
Hi, John.
Don't you
Also,
encourage him?
Angelo, you've got to understand when you're talking about Luca, we're talking what a single-celled organism, if that. I mean, if we're talking about Luca, we might be talking about RNA here, which is a whole different ballgame from DNA.
That's what I love about.
RNA can evolve a whole lot more rapidly than DNA can.
Recently, if anyone here watches, and I can't remember his name. He's a Polish guy. He focuses mainly on sci-fi stuff. Releases a video every day. Anyway, regardless, the video he released is we've recently found, or maybe it's been confirmed with a recent paper that, where we have flora and fauna and mushrooms as the 3 different versions of life. There is a 4th one that died out something like 400 or 40 million years ago. Yeah, it died out before the plants came in, and it was like a giant just stalk of a type of mushroom thing. It was closer to a mushroom than it was a plant, but it was quite
I actually
tall.
have an ancient history book that has a bunch of like information about those and pictures and stuff and like size comparisons.
Your guy was trying to use AI, and like he got this giant red shroom about 4 stories high compared with trees behind it, and he was like, right, that's not right. And then he tried not, and the closest he could get was like lots of little bananas with a big banana with like a fluffy bit at the top, you know? Like we don't really
Lisa,
know
you
what
were talking about. Yeah, Lisa, you were talking about RNA evolution. I have absolutely no idea what you're talking about because
you don't know what
usually,
you don't know what transmitting RNA is or messenger RNA or any of that is. Do you know how a cell works on Tanslow?
well, maybe Lisa would have to put a qualifier what she means because there are some RNA hypotheses, RNA world, and there is no cell yet. There is just supposed RNA, which then supposedly could self-replicate, which has which in my book is not possible. It has never been shown that RNA can self-replicate. They have only made tests in the lab with templates, and RNA is actually very, very fragile.
I'm going to interrupt you. I do apologize. I'm going to interrupt you. RNA is part of the process of replicating our DNA in our cells. So the statement that you say RNA has not been shown to self-replicate, it is literally part of the process of how we replicate the cells in our own body. Messenger RNA.
You don't understand what I am talking about, MathPig. I was talking about the RNA world hypothesis, which is a competitor to the metabolism first hypothesis in the origin of life. And in that stage, there is no self-replicating cell yet. There is just a supposed RNA molecule on a prebiotic Earth, which somehow would have started to self-replicate. This is the scenario. There is no.
It doesn't necessarily have to self-replicate. I think there's a misunderstanding here. If you have a certain physical area, right, where the situation is optimum to create RNA, right? You're going to say have a chunk, and we'll leave it real simple with numbers. You've got a chunk this long, regardless of how many genomes is in it, right? And it is optimum for this to be created. As you've said, no self-replicating and this, that, and the other. But you would agree that in certain physical environments, RNA can be put together, right? It doesn't need to be... Okay, well, grant me this premise. Grant me that premise and follow my thought process through and see where if you can agree with where I'm going. If that particular physical area was optimal to create RNA, it may create 2. They could combine. This doesn't happen on the first week of the first day, but you have an infinite time, so to speak. And if it's optimum to create 1 in one certain way, there's nothing to say that it can't create 2. They can combine. There's DNA. Go down that route. I'm not a scientist. I'm making shit up off the top of my head. I'm just saying how I see it, that if you have a physical area that can create RNA, what's to say it didn't create 2?
Yeah, this is a very, very simplistic scenario which you are putting here. And I mean, I have written a trilogy with close to 2,000 pages on the origin of life, where I go very detailed into the origin of ribonucleotides, which are the monomers of RNA. And there I expose all the problems.
Just to clarify, these books that you're writing, they are based upon information you have gained from everybody before you on their genetic research, or is this just you, a weird guy in the internet, writing a book? Because Deconverted Man's done that too. Great book, all about lobsters being God. What's your strength behind the fact that you're writing a book?
Well, I mean, I have my information from scientific
I forgot, Marty also has wrote 2 books, but we don't want to, Marty's wrote 2. She's a weirdo on the internet as well.
Yeah, all I want to say is this, MathPig, that I have actually studied the problems that lay in having ribonucleotides on a prebiotic Earth. And before you have RNA, you need to have the single monomers, and that is a huge problem to explain how these ribonucleotides could have emerged prebiotically. There is a very long list of problems before you even come to the supposed self-replication of RNA. And one problem is, for example, that ribose, which is the backbone of ribonucleotides, is very fragile. It disintegrates very rapidly, and it is supposedly made by a process which is called the Formose reaction, and that reaction gives you over 50 different products, upon which ribose is just one tiny fraction of the product.
Okay, I'm going to interrupt. You're going on a spiel about all these things, right? That we have a general interest in and a general knowledge of. Now, if you're more educated in these particular fields and understand these terms that you're using 100%, I can't fact check you. I will give you that premise. Is these things that you're saying the consensus in the scientific world, or is this your interpretation of these certain facts? Because there's Dr. McCrudy out there, and he makes really bad arguments as well. And he is a university person, went there, studied all that. He also works for the christiansomething.org. But, you know, these are not agreed upon with the consensus. These are not peer reviewed. Would I be right in saying that on Tanslo?
No, you are wrong, and I can quote you Robert Shapiro here. In a replicator was not involved in the origin of life, he says.
Quote Einstein and other people that disagree with the things that they say. Quote mining is no good. I'm asking you for a peer-reviewed paper. These things that you've brought out and these books that you've brought out, don't give me a quote. Okay? Quote mining is very easy to do. We can all do it. I could probably find I could quote a Christian that justified lying just within this last week. You know, quote mining doesn't show what a person thinks except in that moment without context. So can you give me evidence that these books that you've written has a research department at the back and attributes at the back with peer-reviewed papers in it that I could review to? Like, take the picture of these attributes that you've put in the back of your book.
Well, my inference is fully in line with the scientific papers. My book is based actually on these scientific papers, and I just join them into a book where all the information is available at one place, so someone doesn't have to grasp a topic somewhere and then another topic somewhere else. But if you take my book, then you will find all the relevant information in regards of all the steps that are required from chemistry to a fully self-replicating cell. So you have everything at one place, and it's not something which I have made up. It's actually something which is fully based.
I may be under a misconception here because of our interactions before on Tangelo. Evolution exists or doesn't exist?
Of course it exists. Now you need to.
But then I'm arguing with the wrong person. I'm sorry. I apologize with you. I am arguing under the impression that you are against evolution and God and stuff.
Yeah, I thought you were anti-evolution too.
The wording you're using and the way you're putting across sounded like that. I apologize. Thank you for the clarification. Evolution, go.
Well, I mean, we need to define what is meant by evolution. If we are talking here about change over time, yes, this is a fact, this is undisputed, and any educated creationist will confirm and agree with that. Now,
is there such a thing? Sorry, I was being facetious. I was making a joke about an educated creationist.
Yeah. I mean, now, what is in dispute is universal common ancestry and the tree of life, where the claim is that all life forms, they came from just one universal ancestor. And this is even disproven by mainstream science because, for example, viruses, they are polyphyletic, and this is undisputed. So there are 7 different lines of viruses which do not share a common ancestor. So This is a big problem already when you state that all life forms have a universal common ancestor. And this is what is in dispute, actually.
No, I would
I think
agree
that
to a certain point.
evolution could still exist though without a universal common ancestor. There just could be several.
Well, I am not
Me and Andy were thinking
denying
the exact
evolution,
same
as
thing. I was
as
just about to
said
say that. Yeah.
previously. I mean, actually, I would say that adaptation, which includes evolutionary mechanisms like genetic change and so forth, this is a life requisite and a prerequisite which is necessary. If the organism cannot adapt to different environmental conditions, it will die. And in order to do that, the organism has to be able to change. And evolution and genetic differences and that is part of this
So if I can just
adaptation.
clarify with a stereotypical term, try and get my brain around where we're at. Would you consider yourself an old Earth creationist? God still created everything, but evolution is the key, the mechanism, the thing that he's using. You're okay with that?
No.
Okay,
I'm a
clarify
younger
me.
creationist. Yeah. I'm a
But
younger
then I'm
creationist.
lost, dude. If evolution does exist and then, like I don't know, please clarify your terms, my wee brain.
Well, a young Earth creationist doesn't deny evolution. Actually, uh, it is necessary when you have 20 or
Computer, red alert.
30,000 species in
you
an
go.
ark to get 2-3 million species, which we have today. How do you get from
Tangelo.
20,000 to 2 million? Of course, there has to be evolution and
Tangelo,
speciation. There is no point.
hey, do you realize how I'm sorry, I'm not calling you this. I'm calling the idea of a young Earth this. Do you realize how fucking stupid that idea is? That the Earth is only 6,000 year old,
Well, I
6,000
don't claim.
years
Well,
old.
first of
You
all,
are
at least
no.
I don't
You
claim
are.
6,000
Let me
years.
finish. Let me finish.
Speaking a more cordial term, Lisa, I let you finish. It seems like you're very aggressive towards him, and I'd shout anyone down for aggression.
Sorry. So, I don't mean to be aggressive. It's just people overtalk me, you know.
Drives my fucking head away, and then they don't say they interrupted, they interjected to make a point. I want to slap you more. I understand, but I'm just trying to keep it calm.
Oh, thank you. Okay. What you are proposing with a 6,000 year old Earth and 4,400 if you want to take a
I don't
worldwide
believe that.
flood into consideration is you are proposing hyperevolution on steroids. That makes no sense.
Okay.
Yeah, first of
Montangelo.
all, I am not proposing a 6,000 years old framework, okay? While most young Earth creationists propose that, I propose a little bit more time. I mean, compared to billions of years or hundreds of millions of years, of course, that seems to be not being a big deal, but for me, actually, it is a big deal. I think it is about 7,500 years, which is the timeline with the Septuagint.
I'm
But I
going to
mean,
give
you
Andy
guys,
a go next, just to say I'd like Andy
I
to
mean,
respond next.
you guys can laugh as much as you want, but if you are telling me that soft tissue, which has been found all over the world in dinosaurs, can be up to
No, I'm going to shut that down. The person you're referencing, Mary, she has actually come out and says she doesn't like people using that. She disagrees with that. Okay? The person who you're quoting has been on multiple live streams, in fucking including Steve McRae, right? And even said this. So I'm just muting you for that, trying to be firm.
Okay, can I continue?
No, I'm going to mute you again. I unmuted you so you can continue. It's obvious.
Okay, so it's not actually just Mary Schweitzer which has found soft tissue in fossils, but this soft tissue is found all over the world. There are over 130 different scientific papers which report soft tissue in fossils in very different environments and places. So this is a common phenomena, and some science
Yes.
papers they claim that it can be up to 1.8 billion years old. So
Some
this
scientific papers claim that the fucking moon doesn't exist. It doesn't. Some scientific papers. Peer review. I talked to a guy who told me the fucking moon was made of fucking glass by giants. Sorry, I'm going to interrupt you. Andy has some things to say, I'm sure. Andy.
Well, so just to clarify, I did laugh, but I wasn't laughing at the idea that you believe in a young Earth. I was laughing at the fact of how similar 7,500 years was to 6,000 years.
That's what I was laughing at.
I don't think your ideas are necessarily ridiculous, because I'm not much of a scientist myself. I'm more of a philosophy and history guy myself. But with the Earth being, if it was only 7,500 years old, I think like what Lisa was getting at is that we would, evolution and plate tectonics and crystal formation would be happening before our eyes in like a visible sense, because the age of the Earth that is proposed by the majority consensus compared to 7,500 years it's like 500,000 times bigger than what you're proposing. So that means that the rate of evolution and the rate of plate tectonics and the rate of crystal formation would be 533,000 times faster. So we would be able to see it happening rapidly.
Like, if my memory is correct, we are closer to the T-Rex than the T-Rex is to the Stegosaurus, if I'm correct in that. The differences it is correct, yeah. The differences in time are mind-blowing. Like, I'm going to talk about my wee girl because I absolutely love her, but she's obsessed with infinities at the minute. She can't wrap her head around them. Like the idea that one infinity can be bigger than another infinity, it's like, but they both go on forever,
Yeah.
Numbers are huge. We live for
all I'm going to say here is that both models, they have severe problems. Also, older proposals, there are big problems which many people do not consider. So I think
you mean the
before
consensus?
anyone,
When you say many people, just to clarify, when you say many people, you're talking about a very small opinion that you have on the internet. And when you say many people, are you inferring that the scientific community is the many people? The people who spend their years of their life, half their life, studying this. They're the people who don't understand the things that you do, the guy on the internet. Just to clarify, when you say many people.
Well, I am not saying they don't understand things. Okay, so please do not put words in my mouth.
I asked a question. And specified for clarification 2 or 3 times.
So I am not claiming here that I am superior or more studied or more intelligent or things like that. I mean, you came up with the topic of old Earth, and it is honestly saying a topic that I do not much enjoy to talk about it, because there is so much disrespect in regards of one side ridiculing the other side, and often they do it based on ignorance. And
I think that the disrespect, that at some point the disrespect has to be warranted when the case is so good against it.
Yeah, and it isn't. I disagree with you. It's not.
I will also defend my point, dude. I will also defend my point. I was on a reaction stream earlier, and to be fair, big love for Captive Desk and all, but I don't like a group of atheists sitting around slamming Christian beliefs. Ask a person. I love Captive, great friends, and thank you for having me on and all. But it wasn't my thing. I wanted to do this live stream, which is why I left before they finished, so I could actually talk to people like yourself, Antangelo, because you giving me input is better than any book that you even wrote, because I love questions. This gives me the ability to do it. I would much rather interact with an actual person who thinks with their brain than this. So give us at least that credit.
Yeah, I would too. Do you know
Yeah.
about the heat problem, Otangelo?
I've heard about this problem, and I think there are problems. I'm not denying it. There are several different problems with Noah's Flood, with the Young Earth proposal, as much as there are severe problems with the old Earth proposal. So there is no closing deal here. That's why I was actually also an old Earther. I respect if someone thinks that the old is old. I have no problem with it. Now, what I don't like is when people start to bashing and ridicule young Earth creationists. I think it is disrespectful, and it should be respected if someone came to a different conclusion, especially when it is a complex topic which has to do with several different scientific disciplines which have to be studied in depth in order to come actually to a conclusion. And there is no conclusion on both sides. That's why I think that respect should be very important in these discussions.
If I've come across as disrespectful to you, Antangelo, I do apologize. The fact that I've kicked you less than I've kicked Doug should probably stand for something, because he's a good buddy of mine and I just kick him for the crack.
Yeah.
I do. But no, I apologize if I did come across. I am sometimes passionate, and when it becomes late at night, I become even more passionate. But evolution and genetics.
Oh, go ahead. Pardon? I thought you were finished. I'm sorry.
Oh, no. That was it. I basically was. I apologize to you, Antangelo, if I did. I do appreciate your opinion, because we can't know our limits unless people push us. We can't know what's going on unless people push us. So I do appreciate you coming. Andy. Actually, Andy, where are you? There.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that a lot of the disrespect that you'll see from particularly seculars and atheists comes from, I would have to guess, because I don't really engage in disrespect of opposing beliefs, but I think it comes from how weak the arguments are from Christians, because Christians are typically the ones that are holding to the young earth creation theory. And so every time it has come up in the past, you get these really fallacious arguments from Christians. And I think that the concept of young earth creation would be more welcomed by the atheist community if it was more people like you that were actually taking the conversation seriously and not just using it to defend the Bible.
Yeah, to be honest, I do not like to discuss the topic, in special not with atheists, precisely because there is so much disrespect, and atheists think they have such a strong point in ridiculing the young Earth proposal. And I mean, it was MathPig which brought up this topic, but I am prepared to defend my standpoint. I'm also prepared to say it is not as rock solid as many other young Earth creationists claim it is. I recognize that there are problems to which I don't have answers, but so there are problems as well in the old Earth proposal.
Like
May I just say, Clint's Reptiles today released a video as a Christian evolutionary scientist who is actually running their own classes on teaching evolution and stuff from their building, from their place. They are lots of stuff, lots of reports, lots of... I
love his channel.
Absolutely brilliant. Did you watch today's video? Reacting to creationist arguments. It's the third time he's done it, but he broke down irrefutable, what's that phrase? Complexity, right? And he broke it down. And I think that Antangelo, you would appreciate his view on things. He is a Christian. He believes in God. Is his family Christian and all. He is also an evolutionary biologist. And, I would defer to him and the things that he says when coming across the young earth argument and the irrefutable complexity and no Luca and things like that. I would refer you to him because he would say it better than I do. And I just be quoting him badly. I don't like Aaron Ra that much, although his information is correct, but I'll quote Clint left, right and centre.
I love Arn. I'm a big Arn fan.
So
If I
can you
could just
tell
add
me?
one more thing,
Go
I
on
just
ahead, Andy.
wanted
The
to
floor
point
is
out
yours.
about the. I just wanted to point out about the disrespect thing that Antangelo was talking about, or Otangelo. I'm sorry, I have trouble with names. Um, I'm a. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the deconstruction zone or allegedly Ian or unapologetic or any of those channels, but I moderate for all of those. They're debate channels between atheists and Christians, and
Oh,
so I see a
definitely
lot of
put the
these
links.
arguments.
If I may interject to make a point, could you please
Yeah.
put the links in the private chat, man? I'll share them in the live.
Yeah, definitely. But that's the problem of atheists just using those debate platforms as a way to, you know, subjugate and persecute and put down Christians and just use it as a medium for abuse, basically.
Yeah.
Is something that I'm essentially the only moderator in any of those channels that does any work to fight against that sort of behavior.
Good.
And I've been threatened to be removed as a moderator from Deconstruction Zone's channel, specifically for sticking up for Christians that were wrongfully treated.
Yeah.
And I totally see where you're coming from in that respect, Tangelo, and I couldn't agree more.
If it wasn't for the atheist experience, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing, but I won't watch the atheist experience because that's just what it is. And I disagree.
Yeah, the new guy,
with
Justin on the atheist experience, he's a new
Is that the
host
Kentucky
that's just
atheist?
recently started.
Is that the Kentucky atheist?
No.
No, I think he just goes by Justin, but he's the host of Deconstruction Zone. He just started hosting for Atheist Experience like a month ago.
Well, I lost a lot of respect for them for the direction that they were going, you know. It was just slamming people. I don't like slamming people. As I reinforce again, using the token Christian that we have, you know, Antangelo, I don't like doing that thing that I did earlier. I much prefer to talk to you, and you're always welcome here. You know?
Can you tell me, Otangelo, what you find wrong with the Old Earth model?
Well, one problem which is well known is the young sun faint paradox, which is that if the Earth would be 4 billion years old, then the sunshine of the sun would be 30% less than it is today, and that would mean that the Earth would be just an ice ball. It wouldn't be possible for life to develop at all in a frozen Earth. And there is no scientific explanation how to solve that problem. That's just one.
So, well, on the thing of disrespect on Tanjo, don't you think like the concept of a young Earth is disrespecting every geologist and paleontologist and every other scientist that have studied and proven it? Don't you think that's just disrespecting them? And here's a question I wanted to ask you: what evidence have you got? Because young Earth creationists say 6,000 years, give or take a couple of years, yeah. What evidence have you got that makes it 7,500 years?
Well, this is just a biblical framework, and there are problems with that framework as well, which I'm openly admitting it. I'm actually studying human migration and population from this time, and there are some things which I have not yet found how to put them together. So again, I am admitting that there are problems with the framework, and they are unsolved. I have no problem to admitting it.
So
But
you
one
say you have
strong
no
reason.
evidence other than the Bible?
No,
Yeah?
no, it's not that I don't have evidence. As I just mentioned before, the mere fact that fossils they have soft tissue, that means for me they cannot be million of years burned in the ground. And there are scientific papers which say that, for example, collagen has a half-life of 130,000 years. That means that it cannot be preserved 65 million years as it is claimed in the T-Rex, which was found by Mary Schweitzer. It has collagen there, and that is a problem. And the more fossils are found which still have proteins and soft tissue and so forth, the more this shows that this framework of millions years is that's a huge problem, and this is not duly acknowledged.
Why aren't it's not collagen, it's collagen like, but set that aside. If the earth is as young as you think it is, Otangelo, why are they not found in all dinosaur bones?
Sorry, I didn't understand your question.
If the earth is as young as you think it is, why is this soft tissue not found in all dinosaur bones? And
Well, we need to understand that if Noah's flood happened, then these dinosaurs they were buried during the global flood, and of course that wasn't a uniform event. It was very scrambled and very chaotic, and some fossils were buried in a completely different environment than in others. So it is more to be expected that in some fossils soft tissue would be found and in others not.
May I ask a question?
No, I'm just kidding.
Tangelo, would you say that you're biased towards the idea of young Earth because of the Bible?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, that's okay. So you're a Christian, I take it then, correct, or a Jew?
Yes, I am a Christian.
What are you interested in a scriptural conversation, or are you just more of a science kind of guy?
Well, I love to talk about the Bible, sure. But the thing is that whenever I talk with atheists about the Bible, then it boils down to Bible bashing, you know. And
Well, I wouldn't say Bible bashing. I don't have any negative intentions, but I think that there is some very strong cases to be made for mimesis in the Bible.
For
Mimesis is when two cultures would meet each other and they would take elements of the earlier culture's mythology and incorporate it into their own mythology as a way to pay homage to them or tribute. And there seems to be a lot of that in the Bible.
First of all, I have not studied this topic, which I am very curious to start studying it. I live in Brazil, and here are many. And here are many atheist channels, and some of these atheists they are very well focused on theology and Old Testament exegesis, and they come up with the evolution of Yahweh in the Old Testament, and then they try to explain how that there was an evolution and the synergy with these ancient cultures, and how the deity of Yahweh evolved over time, and so forth. And they try to make the case that because it is a human construction, therefore the God of the Old Testament cannot be real, cannot exist.
Exactly.
Now, I have not studied this, but I have actually downloaded very recently several books which have been indicated to me in regards of that topic. And
is Dr. Dennis McDonald on that list by chance?
I mean, I could look it up. I'm not sure.
No worries.
Yes,
I just thought maybe you might remember off the top of your head. I would highly recommend, though, looking into Dr. Dennis McDonald. He's a Harvard graduate and Harvard professor, one of the leading scholars on the subject, and he seems to be the one that dives the deepest into the specific topic of mimesis in the New Testament.
Yeah, I think people which study these topics, they have indicated me the most relevant books on this subject. I just downloaded them, but I have actually not started yet to study it. But what I want to say is this, that we are talking here about origins, and this is such a broad spectrum which goes into philosophy, science, and theology, and so forth. And of course, when we have dialogue between atheists and theists and creationists, like in my case, of course, it is very important what are you going to discuss. And precisely when you want to discuss things which are very ambiguous and where there is no clear consensus on any side, because it is such a broad topic with so many different lines of evidence that can be studied, it is difficult to have a discussion. And when we are talking about the Bible, you just brought up this topic, but there are so many things that can be criticized about the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree with that. Then basically what it boils down is that there is a constant stream of criticism against so very, very different topics in the Bible, and that the Christian is just in the defense, having to defend one topic, and once something has been dealt with, then the atheist goes just to the next topic and so forth, and it doesn't end. So what I usually like to do, that is actually my approach when it comes to having a discussion with atheists, is the cumulative argument for God's existence, which starts with a very basic question. Does God probably exist or not exist? And when the atheist asks, well, what is God for you? Then I say, I put very simplistic description of and the baseline to put as a contrast to the naturalistic framework, which is God is eternal, powerful, conscious, and intelligent. There is no internal contradiction in these descriptions, so it is possible that a God with these qualities and characterization can exist. Now we put that in contrast with the naturalistic world, which says that no such deity probably exists. And we compare the two, one against each other. And then you look around you and you evaluate the physical natural world and check if there are eventually signs which indicate that an intelligent entity had to be involved somehow to create the phenomena which we see in the natural world. So the question is, does this evidence exist or not exist? And that gives us important hints to which of the two worldviews is most likely true.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I think I probably have a more or less unsatisfying response, but it's that I also accept the possibility of a God. I don't even think it's silly or strange or obscure, and I don't think there's any good case to be made against the existence of a God in general, but the Christian God, the well, not the Christian God, the God of Israel, Yahweh, in my opinion, already has been proven to be fictional.
Yeah, so what I am doing is basically I like to discuss the baseline of this question. And once someone and my opponent eventually understands that a creator is a more plausible explanation for our existence than none, then eventually someone which understands this can start to ask a follow-up question. Well, okay, a creator probably is more likely to have created the physical world rather than not. What is its identity? And then, of course, it is a much more hard work, because then you have to put several lines of disciplines into the discussion and see which God is probably the most likely one to exist.
Well, my question that to follow that up with would be why I so is it not possible that humans just coincidentally invented the idea of a god even though there actually is a god? You know what I mean? And all of the gods that are written about in history are just mythology, but by total means of coincidence, the universe actually was created by a god.
Yeah, that's possible that all religions are just invented.
Yeah, so I guess what I would say is that the ending question to be which one of these is most likely to be true, I think is the wrong question. I don't think we should look at it from that standpoint that any of them are true. We should just examine the universe and try to see if we can sort of draw any clues about what God's nature would be like based on how he designed the universe.
That's an interesting question. I agree with you. Now, of course, the issue here is this. Once we have figured out that actually a creator was probably involved in creating the physical world, then the philosophical question is, well, what was his reason? Why did he create it?
Yeah, that's actually a deep question that has many layers. Because
Yes,
we seem so insignificant compared to the universe.
That is another question. Are we insignificant? Is the fact that our size is so minute compared to the
Yeah,
size of the universe, is that a relevant factor to say we are irrelevant? I mean, this is
that's a
another
good point.
philosophical question. I mean, if you compare the size of an atom to the size of the universe, we are precisely probably about in the middle of size.
Yeah, you make a good point. I guess importance is probably measured by awareness
Yeah,
or
that would be
intelligence,
another.
maybe.
Well, yeah, that would be another philosophical question. What relevance does the fact give to this question that we are actually conscious and intelligent, that we can perceive the size of the universe and that we exist?
That's interesting. It makes me wonder also, like maybe if there is a God, that he doesn't even know that life exists in the universe. Like evolution happened and created life as a coincidental consequence of God creating the universe. Maybe
I mean, these are all valid philosophical questions, of course, but of course, what we want, what every one of us wants to know is what is our place in the universe? Where did we come from? Where do we go?
I
Why
can
are we
answer that.
here? What
I
is
can
the
answer
meaning of
that.
life?
I can answer that. That's dead simple. That's really, really simple. The reason we are here is to give our life meaning, not to find it, not to be one. Like my personal reason for being is to be a father. You know, I know people whose reason for living is to be a musician. You know, you find your meaning in life and what gives you purpose. Hashtag Soul, the Disney movie. There's that wee thing that fills that hole, and it doesn't need to be a reason that correlates with everybody. Reason that
Well,
we
that's
are
what.
here is because your mummy and daddy had sex. What gives meaning to your life is what you apply to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think different worldviews will give you different answers to that question.
Well, that's what Samuel Clemens said, didn't he? You know, there's two important days in your life: the day you're born and the day you find out why. So you sort of worked out what you're going to do with life, and it just I see it as helping others. I like that. Yeah, Mark Twain is Samuel Clemens, by the way.
Yeah, this is a topic which I love to literally bash naturalism.
you know it
Why?
also makes
Why
me
do you,
wonder your point about, or my point, I guess rather, about Christianity, about how the universe is so big and the earth and humans are so small. It just that also seems to add validity to how unlikely it would be that if there was a God that he would even know that we exist, because like our planet is like a grain of sand on a beach in all of the planets in the universe. So it's like, imagine looking through, and I'm sure this is an inaccurate number, I'm just using it as an example, but like imagine looking through all of the grains of sand on the beach for one grain of sand that was purple or something. Like you'd
Yeah,
never find it.
yeah. Well, my God,
But
I understand him as all knowing, so he knows
Mm,
uh, everything. The Bible says that he gives names to each star in the universe. He
yeah.
counts the number of hairs on our head. He knows each of the words that we are talking, and they will be judged. So he is all knowing, and of course that gives a lot of grandeur to that God.
So if God is all knowing, this is probably annoying, but if God is all knowing, can God think up a philosophical question that is too difficult for him to answer? I'm just throwing some Play-Doh at you. That was just a joke.
Yeah, of course. There are many different paradoxes. God is, I mean, in special when the term all powerful comes up, then you have a lot of possible paradoxes. Like, can God create a squared circle? Can he lie and say the
Mhm.
truth at the same time? Of course, he cannot do illogical things, and there are things that God cannot do. So the term all knowing has to be defined.
so, oh, okay. So logic precedes God then?
I would say that there cannot be language and communication as we have without logic. So there has to be a mind in order to recognize and understand logic. And I don't think that pure matter can become conscious and then somehow on itself start to understand logic. So I think that a conscious mind is the foundation of all physical and everything else.
Okay, can you give me an example of a conscious mind without a physical body?
Well, this is a good philosophical question, and there are many different, even scientific investigators which have invested their lives actually to study these phenomena. There is a very important investigator in the Netherlands. He is called Pim van Lommel, and he has written several scientific papers on NDE studies. And I think it is very plausible to believe that consciousness can exist outside the body.
That's cool. That's grand. My mother has had an out of body experience and she has quoted things that she's seen that happened it. That's grand. But can you show me, other than a testimony, an example of a conscious mind that didn't start or need a physical body?
Yes, God.
You can show me God. And if you fucking say, look at the trees, I'm kicking you.
Well, I say what is leads to the cause. So we don't need to have empirical physical evidence in order
I
to...
eat fucking too much Indian food that causes I need more washing powder for my underwear. Like, you know, I want proof, not causation.
Yeah, this is a topic of epistemology. Why should you want to have proof if you cannot prove that the physical natural world is all there is?
Can't. Because science itself focuses only on the physical world. That's, you know, how for someone to describe what the outside world is if they never left a box? You know, they can't because they never left the box. They can philosophize about what's
evolution.
Pardon?
Maybe that's. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was just thinking maybe
actually,
that's the next.
I appreciate your interruption. Go on ahead.
That could be the next phase of science, though, is to explore the non-physical. Like that could become included into our scientific textbooks, the metaphysical.
This is my original name, man. Math, magic, pagan. Math, I believe in science and this, that, and the other. Magic, as in I've experienced things that can't yet be explained. And pagan, fuck Christianity. You know, that was my label that I came up with because I don't like labels. You know. But yeah, no, definitely agree with you. I'm going to be rounding it up now. It's coming close to... I don't want someone else go live. I just don't want to host anymore because I've got things that I need to do while talk, but I can't talk, do that, and host. But I'll be here. Ontangelo, you go live. Host an interview with you and Andy, and we'll pop in and have some chats. That'd be interesting.
I might become a Christian.
At minimum, a non-young Earth creationist.
There are many older creationists which are Christians, so
7,000 years isn't old, dude. All right, my granny looked like she was 7,000. Fucks.
I think 7,500 years is so much time I cannot fathom it.
That's the point I frickin' made earlier about the universe and numbers and infinity. The fact that we can't grasp them does not mean that they are not prevalent. Okay, right. Let me see. I'm going to minimize that. I'm going to bring back up the software. Yeah, I really appreciate everyone coming. There's like 17 people watching. Sort of don't want to end the conversation. Someone else go live. Andy, do you do lives yourself?
No, I don't even know how, honestly.
What type of computer do you have? This will make everybody leave, and then I feel better about ending the stream. Do you have a decent computer or like? Pardon?
I just use a basic HP laptop.
No, probably Intel. Yeah. If you've got 6 cores, 12 threads, and about 16 gig of memory, you can do all the fancy stuff. And if you're willing to pay money, you can on a fucking mobile phone. But there's always a middle ground, and the market's dropped out of computer parts at the minute. So for like 350 quid, £400, you could build a computer that would stream and do everything fancy for the next 5-6 years without any issues. You might not be able to game, but if streaming's your goal, £300, man, I can probably be a real nice wee setup to get involved in. Your opinion is missing.
Yeah.
Your view on the world and how we should communicate, mainly because it agrees with mine, is missing on the internet. Alright, it's like people are so fuck. Stop being a victim. Stop being butthurt. Stop being butthurt. It's like calm the fuck down. Like me and Antangelo disagree all the time. He recently maybe mentioned or implied that I was disrespectful to him, but the motherfucker knows he can come back and we'll have another conversation. And I know if Antangelo went live, he would let me in. We can disagree with things, we can make fun of each other, but it's the conversation that matters. No point in falling out with somebody.
Absolutely.
You end up with a little ball of people who just agree with you. And if everybody thought like me, 2's good, Andy. Me and you rule the world, but like 6 of us? Imagine 6 of us.
Yeah.
Anybody, right? We'll work around the room. We'll leave myself or my other version, Andy, to the end. Antangelo, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you very much for having me, MathPig. It's always a pleasure to be at your channel, even if you interrupt me all the time. But I know you for several.
Fucking asshole. Fucking.
Yeah.
Go on ahead. No, I apologize for interrupting you.
Yeah, I'm accustomed to it, so I'm coming prepared, so I know. Well, I will be interrupted all the time, but it's okay.
Say I did make some assumptions tonight, which I will log in my brain about yourself because of our interactions before, which you clarified on. So I appreciate that. I did make some assumptions. I was wrong in them, and I appreciate the clarification. Also, I really appreciate the fact you didn't bring up the shroud once tonight. I did twice. You didn't even fall for it.
Shit. I forgot to bring up the shroud. Hey, let's talk about the shroud.
Right, there you go. He fucking asked for that. Okay,
I love
Doug.
talking about the shroud.
Doug, have you anything you'd like to promote apart from, make sure your puppy pads are inside?
Thanks, Robbie, for having me on. It's always a pleasure. Like and subscribe, guys, and do all that good shit.
Just to remind you, who wanted to talk about the shroud last time was you. I just responded to the questions, okay?
To be fair, the last time we talked, there were some new papers come out. It was relevant.
Yeah, about the X-ray examinations.
I'm relevant.
Yeah, I actually talked to Paolo Di Lazzaro. I had an interview with him on my channel very recently. If you don't know who he is an Italian physicist which has studied about 5 years to understand how the image on the shroud was made. And he actually thinks that the X-ray paper which came out recently is based on too many assumptions and that it isn't very trustful, the results. So
I agree. It says that it has to maintain a temperature of 55 degrees Fahrenheit for like the past 2,000 years or something for it to happen.
Yeah.
It's like,
okay. Did anybody else see the ghost? Did anybody else see the ghost run past the back of Antangelo?
Antangelo, you're haunted.
Well, I mean, I don't have any problems to admit when things are not in favor of what I want to be true. We need to be honest.
Yeah.
Angelo, thank you, buddy. Doug, Andy, have you anything to promote? Where is your... Oh, yeah, you've put them in the chat. Right, we're going to... You do your promotion and I'll share the links you've put in the chat.
Yeah, I don't have anything to promote other than just peace and respect and logic to the best of your abilities, even if it hurts your own feelings, even if it's something you don't want to believe or something you're not ready for. Whether you're an atheist and that's believing that the Bible is real, or you're a Christian and that's letting go of your religious beliefs, or you're a racist and that's letting go of your racism. Just keep an open mind and be willing to change, no matter how attached you are to your ideas.
Well, you
Said
did
quite a
put
lot.
also 3 links in the chat, which I'm be sharing in the live chat.
Oh yeah, those are just some channels that I moderate. Those are debate channels between theists and atheists, and I moderate in those 4 channels.
Cyber
You guys are all
destruction.
welcome to come by.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna go
cyber
to
deconstruction.
yeah.
Unapologetic is the best one because it's 3 people, and one of them is a PhD physicist, one of them is a master's in philosophy, and one of them is a master's and bachelor's in New Testament studies. So it's like 3 very qualified experts that can cover all of the fields of questions pretty much.
Yeah, I've
Okay.
been in one of these channels. There is a guy which also is a host on the Atheist Experience. I don't know his name, but I was recently on one of these debates, and I brought up the issue of the origin of biological information, and then they said, well, um, God cannot exist because that mind which um, supposedly created this information, this biological information, would have to be a exist in a non-physical form, which is something MathPig touched on this topic, and therefore it is not possible that the non-physical mind was responsible for that information. And I said, well, that's not the answer which I'm expecting. I'm expecting to you to explain how non-intelligent mechanisms can instantiate biological information. So they insisted on that, and I mean, I could have go into NDEs and so forth, but I didn't want that. I wanted to press them to explain and to give me a superior explanation and alternative to intelligence to explain the origin of biological information. Of course, they were not able to, so they wanted to diverge to that, and I said, well, I'm not talking about something different. We will stay on that topic. If you want to beat my argument, you need to give me a superior mechanism to explain the origin of biological information. So in the end, they called me a coward because I didn't bite, and I said, well, what you're doing is just dishonest, and I left the stream and I didn't engage them anymore.
I couldn't agree with what you just said more. That's exactly the type of shit that I work so hard to fight against in those channels. I don't agree with the way that the atheist community responds to theism, and that's virtually my only purpose as a moderator. That's why I'm a moderator in 4 different atheist debate platforms, is so that I can just have my little tiny bit of respectful influence on the audience, even though I take a lot of heat for it.
Yeah, I mean, if you, I call most of these hosts dogmatic atheists
They
because
really are.
they are not open-minded to change their mind upon evidence. All what they want is that their paradigm is true, and no matter what evidence and argument that you put on the table, they will simply not accept it. That's why I call them dogmatic atheists.
I
At least
left.
this is my
Yeah.
experience.
I left for 18 months and come back, and it's just an entire polarization. There's no interaction anymore. Shout out to GG, Gangster's Ghost. A wee bit of a shout out to Missing Mod. You know, there is channels out there that are encouraging this communication, and to be fair, most of them are Christian channels. You know, and that's where you'll find me most of the time, is on these Christian channels having these discussions. Because, as Antangelo was pointed out, all I'm seeing in the atheist group is slamming Christian beliefs on what's written in the Bible, which Bible, who reads this, what reads that. You know, I could pick a Harry Potter book and pick upon it. You know, it doesn't mean that I know what a Harry Potter fan thinks and feels and how they view in the world. So, yeah.
You know, one of my main criticisms towards atheists is what they say is, well, you have the burden of proof because you are claiming that God exists. And I say, no, atheists also have the burden of proof. If your claim is that it is more plausible that only the natural physical world exists, well, then make your case. Show why it is more plausible that a non God is not necessary to explain our
I
existence.
don't agree with that.
I have to laugh, and this is just a proof of it. This is literally a proof of it, right? And Europa Butthole is in the chat, and they're making comments. I'm always watching. I'm everywhere. This, that, and the other. You're not everywhere, dude. You're on all the fucking atheist channels reinforcing all of that. And because I just pointed out about going to another Christian channel, you're in the chat going, oh dear Lord, I called it. Called what? The fact that I shared on Tangelo's post. The fact that I promote going and talking to Christians. Who? You spies. You have spies. Listen to yourself, dude. You have spies. Who are you? What you're saying to me is you are a gossip queen and that you like to reinforce yourself. Like you've shouted at me before. You literally told me before, if I had Antangelo on, you wouldn't support me. You know? I'm fucking sick of this entire community. I have had emails sent to me that I have to take my streams down because of this, that, and the other, and the people I've had on. I've had people reach out to me and say that they didn't get enough time on my channel and complain because they're on one side. And then I've had people on the other side about the same stream complain that they didn't get enough time. Like, how can a fucking... It doesn't make sense. You can't both be talking more than the other. Alright? I will run my channel as I want. I will go to where I want. If, you know, you want to butt fuck yourself with reinforced ideas and a little ball of agreement, go for
it.
Anyway, someone else should go live because the conversation shouldn't end. Conversation should never end.
It's ending for me because it's like 2 o'clock in the morning. I know it's not school day tomorrow, but hey.
Just to confirm, Antangelo, I hope you know that you're on probation. And you should know that, alright? You're on probation. Titan has put you on probation because he's the head mod that watches everywhere.
Oh, now I am concerned. Wow.
Well, they have a list. They have a list of people, you know. If they're on someone's chat, they won't support them. This is getting drama. I shall end this. Love yous all. Have some fun. And stop being such fucking dickheads.